Svitlana, happy new year to you. I'm happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too. Hope you also had a good start to 2023.
So far, it has been pretty good, except one of my coffee mugs, not mugs, but the coffee machine almost exploded against the wall. Hey,
Wow.
that happens. It's fine. It's funny. It still looks quite interesting. I hope you at home had a nice, lovely new year so far, too. 11 or even more days have passed so far, and we're talking about chess again. So, Svetlana, what do we have in your Smart Moves series today?
Today I wanted to kind of do a recap of all the best moments of 2022 and
Nice.
have you solve all these tactics that came from some of the most memorable games. I did this last year too, and we're gonna try to do it this year again.
Fantastic. And I'm really happy that we can still do this. There's a little bit of unregularity in the episode schedule, but we try to keep it up as good as possible. But you just have to keep in mind, people, Svetlana is studying like crazy, even last year already, so much, and I'm just happy with that you still can do the show with us. Right. So, what was one of the best things in 2022? This position here.
Well, to me, this was one of the memorable games. This one was played at the Olympiad, which was also a really big thing that about last year
Mhm.
because it was the first time in so much time that it was held in person, and it produced a lot of really nice games. And this one was a game between Wesley So and Hrant Melkumyan,
Mhm.
and we're gonna get to the tactic in a bit. But to me, this was one of the most memorable games from that Olympiad. So, from what you can see, we're gonna look at it from the white side and see how Wesley So handled this position. To me, it looks like a very interesting middle game um, because all the pieces are kind of looking towards the king side, and it looks like there might be an attack sometime soon.
Okay.
And we're going to go through the buildup of the tactic a bit before solving the tactic itself. So now Wesley So plays rook to e3, which is a nice middle game plan and to get all the pieces involved in the attack and to double well on the e file. Now the tactical portion starts. Black plays e5, so already there's a couple of things to calculate.
Yeah.
And here, white didn't take and went bishop h6 to begin with. So
Goodness.
that would be like very, very complicated to solve. So that's why I'm going to the more heated portion of the tactic. So essentially, you might wonder why not take here. I think Wesley was a bit worried about the move bishop to c5. So now black is going to be able to get that pawn back, plus attack the rook. And although white does have counterplay with the moves like e6, but it's getting really complicated, and black has a lot of
Oof.
initiative
Hmm.
instead. So the tactic that I want you to solve is that after bishop h6, we of course have to consider the move e4. It's asking to be played. And my question is, what do you think about this move from black, and what comes to mind as a response?
Yeah, for you at home, of course, the same and similar question in the article. The link is below in the YouTube video, as you already know. We have all those games, so you are more than welcome to play along with us, replay the games, put them into your ChessBase system, into your database, and use this as a training session, as a fun one, of course, because it's the best of 2022. So, what do I think of this? I mean, for the moment, this looks um how to say it. For the moment, it looks terrible for white. Now I just have to figure out why it is actually not that bad. I mean, the queen is attacked, the bishop is attacked. I don't, at this very moment, I cannot see any like amazing tactical motive yet. I am, well, there are a couple of funky ideas at one point. So for once, the f7 pawn is a bit vulnerable, maybe. That's the
That's
thing.
a really good point.
Like, there's
Yeah.
no piece actually defending this pawn, which raises an eyebrow. So if we can exchange or like sacrifice a piece and attack this pawn one more time, because the queen is already pointing in this direction, we have to see how black can even defend this. And this is probably even the solution, because that is really no way else than putting a knight to e5. Or I'm wrong. But
So
the rook cannot
yeah,
go back. The queen cannot go there. Yeah.
you're looking in the right direction with all the sacrifices. So let's look at it more specifically. So which one should we consider first?
I think we'll take the knight to take the pawn, because it doesn't play any major role. I think we need the bishop maybe to attack f7 one more time, and the rook to take back here. Maybe, because...
Well, it would also
no. Now I see the defense, by the way. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's there. It is going to be defensible in such a position. Although I would also consider this as my first consideration. So we took a look at the knight. Basically, although f7 is weak, and that was really good that you pointed it out, there are going to be some defenses. There could be knight f6.
Of course, so obvious, yeah.
Even something like bishop f8, just like calm, and like could also bring the queen into the defense. Black does manage to defend it.
Damn.
So it was not knight e4. Was there another one that we have to look at?
So if it wasn't knight e4, well, maybe... I don't see it with the knight, though.
Let's look at the bishop now.
Yeah.
So that's the second
let's take
one
back with the knight.
Right. So the attack looks decent. But after something like f5, maybe some knight d6 and queen coming here, it looks good, but it's not winning, right?
No, the bishop can go back, the queen can, that's...
Yeah, although this is something already. So there, even when we sacrifice a piece, there is some counterplay, but there was actually a third option, which you maybe didn't consider as much, but that actually turns out to be the most beautiful.
Oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. I remember this now.
You remember the game?
Of course, it was probably, you are so spot on. It was probably the coolest game of the year, really, this particular. It's queen taking f7, right?
Super close. So before that, we take rook e4.
We take with the rook, so we open the line for the bishop on c4, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm so embarrassed. Of course, I remember this. And I mean, why didn't I... Normally, I go for stuff like that, but here I just... It looks so much like it's... Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
let's restart this.
After the rook capture, not something that we consider, but after this, the solution is, you already said, queen f7, which to me was one of the coolest moments. And this is a tactic that you often see in like a book or like somewhere else, not in an actual game. And although this is a variation of the game, it didn't really like occur because black saw it, but it would have been really nice to see it. So let's see what happens now. So these two bishops are doing a really good job at restricting the king, but it's not mate yet. So we do have to get it to the end, even though, because we sacrificed the queen. So it does have to go on. So after king f6, do you think you can come up with the rest?
Yeah, it looks like we have to take on e4 for a check. Almost.
Yeah, that's good. So now the king has only one square.
Yeah, I guess we now... What can we do now? How can we... Is it bishop d3 already and then knight c5 maybe? Or does it take too long?
Yeah, I wouldn't say bishop d3 just because we want to keep this bishop protecting all the squares on this diagonal.
Oh my goodness. Wait, is it bishop e6? No, it cannot be.
No, not bishop e6.
Because then the king doesn't even have...
We need to make like more pieces join.
Yeah, so let's get the rook to e1.
That's good. So we get the rook to e1 soon. We kind of want everything to be with a tempo so that
Oh
we
my
don't need to
goodness, another
calculate.
sacrifice. Okay.
No, it's just g4, yeah.
Wow.
And then to
And
rook to
then the
e1,
rook.
making the rook join and checkmate
Yeah.
on e3.
Yeah, even bishop
So,
d5 is also checkmate. Like, wow.
oh yeah, bishop d5
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. It's crazy.
So yeah, the
Oh,
king
what a
gets
game.
all the way to f3, and this would have been really beautiful. And the problem is the opponent with black didn't even capture that rook because probably saw that Wesley So doesn't sacrifice the rook
Yeah.
for nothing and that there was going to be checkmate.
Oh, he
But
blundered.
he didn't resign either, so we'll still look to the very end because that was not all the sacrifices for this game. There was a bit more. But of course, now Wesley has an extra pawn, and it does look like white is just completely dominating the position.
Yeah.
Now, black defends with f5. Here, everything is winning anyway, but try to find the next sacrifice too,
Okay, here we go.
what he played.
Now don't fail, Arne. You can do it.
Pretty much everything would be correct,
Oh,
but
that
one of them is maybe a
now I
bit.
really have to make a correct move here. So, well, it's yeah, as you say, everything is correct. I guess you have to just open the G file by taking the pawn on f5. I will just take with the
Exactly.
knight, I guess.
And that's exactly what happened
Yeah.
in the game. The other ones were also good. I think the rook is a bit like ambiguous, still winning, but it's just harder when you sacrifice more material.
Sure.
But the knight, bishop both worked. And at this point, we've opened up the G file, which is really important for our queen, which can join and try to checkmate on G7. So black still, of course, tries to defend the best they can. Now knight G6, and there's even one more sacrifice left.
Wow.
Not even sacrifice.
Oh dear. So what can we do here now? I'm wondering if it's rook d5.
It is rook
Oh
d5.
wow. Okay. Maybe it's just my memory. I don't remember anymore. But no, it is. Yeah, it seems like the only move to me. After queen takes, we take on g6 with the bishop.
Yep. And it looks like we're running out of pieces, but we have just enough to make the checkmates. Because after black takes, the queen joins, and there's going to be checkmate on g7. So
super.
The game still went for a couple of moves, but of course, white just has too many attackers at this point that there was no more saving. The two bishops were just really strong, and they resigned after bishop g5. The bishop is going to join, the rook is going to join, and that was the end of the game.
Yeah, what a beautiful memory this was again. How funny that I forgot about this. What the heck? I guess I'm sure you at home remembered this. You must have gone like, yeah, that was nice. Sorry for letting you wait for such a long time.
No worries at all. It's always, even though you have seen like a game before, sometimes you don't necessarily like it's good to do the tactic again because then like it sticks in your memory instead of just seeing it like being calculated by someone else.
You're spot on. Yeah, this is a very good lesson actually to get that done a bit better.
Okay. So the next one is a bit more, and like I try to pick a bit like less of a popular one, a bit more unusual.
All right.
Which was still good. So this one comes from the European Club Cup, which is also like very packed with really good players. So this game, we're gonna look at Emre against Barham, Can and Maghsoodloo against Maghsoodloo. So here it was black to play. So black plays b5, and they seem to have built up a very solid position and grabbed the queen's gambit sacrificed pawn on c4. So black is up a pawn. From here, the game had a lot of tactics and a lot of sacrifices. So what do you think you would try to do here as white?
I'll try to checkmate on f7 once again.
That is for sure makes sense. So
So one idea would be maybe to push f4 forward. So if the knight is taken, we can take back with the f pawn and open the line even better. On the
I
other
would
hand,
consider
if
that.
we would sacrifice the knight on f7 after f4, we can also play e5 and win the bishop, I think.
Okay, so you want to play knight f7 and then e5?
Yeah, that would be the quicker variation. I'm not sure how good it is. I would actually play f4 first, but maybe taking on f7 is already the we have to keep the initiative, so maybe this will work quicker. I don't know.
So knight f7 is one of the moves to consider, and it's funny you combined like you combined two of the right ideas. So
Oh,
knight f7 wasn't the best sacrifice, but it was still a worthy one. And here, instead of playing e5 right away, we can even join with the queen like this, and then play e5 just so that it's a bit more active. But after this whole exchange, we did get the piece back. But
nothing else.
yeah, not really a checkmate. The pieces haven't really joined,
Nah.
but still, of course, worth to consider. But white is not worse. It's just going to be a bit more unclear than some other variations. So that was still a good sacrifice. So now, taking that idea that if we move the knight, we are able to play e5 and regain the piece, what do you think else could be considered?
Huh. Well, we could also go queen h5 immediately or queen f3 immediately, and if bishop takes,
Yeah, the bishop will take if that knight stays there.
we could take back on b4 was my idea. So how about, let me think. How about, do you know this position at home, people?
You actually had the exactly the right idea.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
no matter where you move this knight, you can gain the piece back with
yeah,
e5, right?
okay. So, but where to move it? g6 doesn't make any sense. No, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't want to delay this too much. I cannot find
No,
the solution.
don't worry. It's
Yeah,
knight
show it.
to c4.
Ah, it is that one. Yeah, I considered that
So
one too.
yeah, like I mean, I'm sure you saw it, and you even mentioned the idea of e5. To me, it was
Exactly.
a bit harder to realize that if you sacrifice the knight, then the bishop gets trapped. So that was actually the difficult part, which you
Oh,
understood, but you didn't say this exact move. So it is a bit hard to evaluate this position afterwards. In order to go for it, you have to realize that this exchange is beneficial. So the reason why is that white wants to open the center because there is a big difference in the opponent's king safety. So if white opens the center, their king is not really in danger. But if for black, it is kind of a danger because this king hasn't been castled and the rook cannot join the attack, and that's what makes this position a bit dangerous for black. So after that, there were a couple of more impressive moves. So first of all, the bishop, of course, had to give itself for the pawn, and knight to d3. So that was black's idea, just to block the center a bit and put the knight on a good outpost. And after that, once again, an impressive move comes. And could you try to guess it for white?
I will
If
try.
not, I can give hints.
Let me try on my own quickly. So,
Yeah.
what could be a nice plan here? Yeah, I think it is knight taking on c4. I think we can get like enough counterplay with that, maybe.
So yeah, after knight to c4, What was your idea if the queen takes back?
There's a couple of ideas. So the bishop can go to, I guess, g5 maybe.
Okay.
And the knight is not allowed to move, otherwise it's checkmate as far as I see, for now at least.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
and then we could get the rook to c1, take the knight. Not sure if it's enough though, I couldn't calculate more.
You're seeing all the right motives, but the move itself, like the first move, is not the best way to go about it. So you had the correct idea.
Oh, now I get it.
We can
Okay.
open. What is it?
So it is rook c1 first. Also
Not yet.
Okay,
No,
okay.
but
No.
the thing is, you got the difficult part is that opening this D file is going to be checkmate at the end, which is a bit hard to see because there's a lot of pieces here in the way. So you even named the bishop move to like anywhere to open it up. So that's exactly how you can prepare this like knight c4 idea and this sacrifice later, is if you can open up this D file and move the bishop away for now. So what's the best place for it?
Well, g. Oh gosh,
fine.
of course it's a5, right? It has
But
to
it
be
is
a5.
a5, exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
So, of
That
course,
has
the
to be
best
it.
way is to play with a tempo, always make an attack. And in this case, this bishop cannot be taken for exactly the idea that you were looking at. The fact that the knight, like this knight collapsing is a big deal for black, because then d8 is checkmate. White, I mean, black can defend it with queen d8, but after that, white still has a win, and I don't want to spoil the move because it comes in the actual game too.
Oh,
But
really? Okay.
yeah, so that move was like one of the other impressive moves. So in the game, black didn't take on a5 and played queen to c5, so putting up a bit more of a defense. It's a bit difficult to follow up, so I will tell you the move, but then you try to guess how to do the second step of it.
Alrighty.
So the move itself is the one that you've already looked at, is knight c4. So now it's comes with a more effect because this queen is already opened up. And what is the step 2 of how to get this knight out of there?
I still thought of rook c1, which cannot be true. So maybe how about rook a4 instead?
Once again, really close. Rook c1 would work in the case if black takes us.
Yeah.
So if they take like this, then queen d3 is winning, and we have both an attack on the queen and on the d8 square. So this is winning, but black somehow can keep it together with just queen b5, and now the bishop is under attack, and if like, and we don't really win this knight because we lose that bishop at the end. So other one, you said rook a4 probably has the same reaction.
Oh no.
Rook a4 was close. All of that was actually really close.
So rook a3 then to attack the knight one more time.
Exactly. So we're down a piece actually in this position, but if we do get it back, then the position is completely better for white, right? Because the difference in piece activity is just huge. And rook a3, you already know I like rook lifts, so this one wasn't a surprise. And this knight has to be lost, or else there's going to be queen d8 checkmate. So that's kind of the idea I really liked in this game.
Super cool.
Because it was unusual. Like, it's not something you see often, and it was a bit of an unusual tactic. So now that the material is even, but you see the difference in the kings and how much worse the black one is, and there's just not that many even good moves to consider. So white just couldn't stop with the sacrifices, and they just kept going.
Oh gosh.
They played rook c3 to, once again, all based on the same idea with queen d8. The queen goes here. Now the bishop can also join the attack from a different diagonal. So the rest I will just show. One more tactic with rook c5. So everything here is winning, but I guess the player with white just tried to be a bit fancy and do even one more final sacrifice like this.
My goodness.
And yeah, and that was it. I thought it was a fun middle game, and
Super
some
cool.
of these tactics were a bit unique. So are you ready for the next one?
Yes, please. Hope you're enjoying this too at home. I do big time.
Okay. So the next one, we'll do this one. Another memorable event. I don't know if you will remember it. It was the Fisher Random World Championship, which was another big part of 2022.
You would have
What do you think about
never
Fisher Random?
guessed. I love Fisher Random, but it's funny
Yeah,
because like in this position, you would have never guessed that it would be Fisher Random. Look completely like a normal game.
exactly. I
It's
think
so
when you
funny.
put two chess players to play the Fisher Random format, they kind of try to come back to something that they know. They try to castle, they try to follow all the
Yeah.
principles that they know. So it does end up being more or less normal position. So here, this was a game between Nepomniachtchi and Nakamura. So still very important one in this event. And in this position, I want you to find the attacking plan for black.
Well, once again, there is the square h2 in this case, which we can open up with moving the knight. It's super interesting that white made this move for various reasons, in my opinion, because
Well,
it
the
like
knight was attacked, so I guess
okay,
there was
then
no.
it makes much more sense out of his
I
side. I
guess
was
there
like
was no other way.
really thinking, yes, you're right, of course. So, well, why can't we just take on f3? And it looks like there's hardly any other move to
Yeah,
follow up with
so
this.
knight f3 is a correct attacking plan. Whenever you can ruin the opponent's pawn structure next to the king, usually a good idea. So the next move that's part of the attacking plan is the one that I thought was the interesting part.
Oh, so because I thought it wasn't that interesting because my plan would have been rook to b4.
I thought that was interesting, but you're
Oh, so
right.
okay.
The reason I just always like these moves where like pieces that were on the other side of the board, they like switch so quick, like they
Completely.
switch so quickly to the attack.
Yeah.
I always find these plans cool. So rook b4 is right. So for the next two moves, Nakamura just kind of optimizes his pieces, improves everything to go onto the king side. So one of the ideas of rook b4 was so that on the next move, the rook can join right there and already have checkmate threats.
Certainly.
So he makes the bishop join as well. Then I went to e4 to kind of block that idea a bit. And we will soon get to the tactic that I wanted you to solve. So some of these examples, like I wanted to do more of them, so then they're actually really short because the tactic that you have kind of ends the game. And this is where our tactic comes in. This one will be good practice for tactical vision.
So what about just taking on e4? Can't this just help? Let's take,
So
takes
yeah,
back, check. King goes, no, this is not working. This is not working. King goes back to f1. That might be a bit of a problem, but maybe not entirely. So yeah, just my gut feeling says taking on e4 looks very strong.
yeah. So you're correct about this one. And we always, in tactics, we always look at captures. Well, we look at three things: checks, captures, and threats. And exactly here, it is, we do have a lot of captures to consider. So rook e4 is right. And basically, I think after this, you were looking at this check, or
Yeah, exactly.
okay, so
There's a
that
better one,
wasn't
right?
part of the solution. There is better. And the reason is that the king, does the king escape?
Yeah, but
It still looks good. Still looks
it
good, but
looks.
it's not like as clear, I would say.
Oh gosh, this is not clear. So what can white do now? It has to move the file one rook to d2, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But
Although I
that
see checkmate.
is yeah, me too.
No, I see checkmate. This could also be winning. Could also be winning. Yeah, I can
How
accept the
about...
solution
No,
as
this is
well.
also not working. This is
No, I can
forced. This is really forced. Yeah.
wait. Maybe this.
That... No, rook takes f3.
Oh yeah, right. Then the rook joins. That one is a mate. So yeah, I can I can also like this solution.
Thanks. Well,
There's
no,
one
there's
that I
no
would say
check
is
here.
like like simpler, maybe.
Okay, is it
I don't
queen
know.
to
To me, it looked
g5?
simpler.
Queen g5?
Queen, almost. So first
Oh.
we go here,
Oh, okay.
and the exact idea of
Sure,
g5.
we
So if
win
they take,
a rook maybe.
we not yeah a piece we win. And the thing is, there's also rook d8, which is exactly what happened in the game.
Oh,
But once again, because of this queen
yeah.
g5 move, we get
The piece back.
the piece.
It looks
And then
dangerous.
Hikaru converted very well there after having an extra piece. It was very clear. So exactly, this was the tactic itself was not that complicated, but
Oof.
it's just something to do quickly, and it was a important game of the year to have Hikaru be the Fischer Random World Champion. Do you want another one?
Yes, one last one, please.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay, yeah, so
Here
we
we go.
can do this one as the last one. So, of course, I couldn't have gone the 2022 without the candidates tournament. It was maybe in June or July. I remember it was a while back, so it would be a good time to remember it. And although I showed the game where Nepo lost, the last one I showed, now I will do him justice and show the game that he won, because he won many things in that year. And this was one of his greatest wins from the candidates tournament, which was also a very important event this year. So this was his game against Alireza Firouzja. And maybe it will ring a bell once you see the game itself, but it was full of tactics. So
Unfortunately not yet, no.
so Firouzja is playing as white and Nepomniachtchi is playing as black, and the tactics start after this move f4. So try to play like Nepo.
Well, there's one move which is stinging out. It's a knight to h4 check, which is so funky because the king can not go to any square on the third row. So this is always, like, for me, this is always a good sign. Now the question is, when do we make this move?
On knight h4, maybe king h2 is going to happen, right?
Yeah. And that's not it seems. Oh, I thought that would be super cool. What else do we have? So many options. Oof. We could...
Also keep in mind that white has just attacked
Yeah,
on
exactly.
h5. So
Give me a couple of more seconds, please. I want to try to solve this. What about a check? Takes, and nothing happens.
what were you looking at?
Well, I was looking at a check on h3.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it doesn't help. So then the last option I have, which is probably the right one then, is taking on f4 with the knight.
Exactly. So there is a slight difference which knight we take with. Actually, maybe a big difference which knight. But logically speaking, we should take it with the knight on the h, because that's the one that's being attacked, and there's no point in really keeping it there. If you're going to sacrifice one knight, you sacrifice the one that's less stable. So this knight is the better choice.
Yeah. So now if
after
the bishop has to take, I think we can take back and then take on g5 with our bishop.
So in case we do that, we're basically like transposing to the variation of the other knight taking. Not transposing, but
Oh,
it's like then there's no difference which knight to take with, right?
gotcha.
So
Okay, okay, you're so right. Yes, of
this
course.
is still better for black. Still a nice attack. It's not as convincing as the other option,
Okay.
but I do understand that it was tempting.
So, how about we... What do we do? Now, if there's a check, that doesn't help now on h4. Because... No, this just doesn't help.
You really want the knight to go to h4.
So much. So, what else? How can we get... Oh, there's... Out of a sudden, because of this bishop move, the b2 pawn is
Yeah,
vulnerable. Yep.
for sure. Exactly. So
Must be
after
this.
that's why we distracted this bishop, so that now the queen can join in this good way. It joins the attack on the king. It creates some new attacks here, which is always a good idea, and we just make white's queen side just completely unstable too. So knight e4 happened now, and the next move is nice. So there's the move that Nepomniachtchi was played, and then there was the correct move, which was completely like impossible. But you can try to find the solution, but I think you'll end up finding Nepomniachtchi's move.
Okay, so what will happen? So I want to get my bishop out of the way, the one on e7, so I can attack the knight on e4 or the bishop on e2. So how do I do this best? What about the crazy move bishop to f6?
That one is probably a bit too crazy because I mean he can also just take it. You didn't make an attack on e4.
You mean with the knight? Yeah.
Yeah, if he wants to, he can take it with a knight.
But okay, yeah, okay, I understand. Okay, good. Then what else we rook c4.
Yeah, rook c4 is what happened. That's what Jan played, and it's still, I would say, wins, but it wasn't the best move. And what was funny, I was smiling because you actually found like the right idea when you were saying we need to move this bishop out of the way. And the best move, the one that computer loved even more than rook c4, was bishop to d8, which at first glance looks really strange, and it doesn't make sense at all to allow this knight d6. It's like you just missed a fork for no reason.
Yeah.
But there was a reason, and it was the fact that we can make a sacrifice and have our queen and rook just destroy the second rank.
Okay. What happens if the queen takes, though?
Queen takes
on e2.
The rook?
On e2. Instead of the knight. Oh, then we just win the knight. Okay.
Then we take the knight.
Yeah, and it's still... Yeah, and we win the bishop with check. That is what makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah. Or is it even? My God, it's complicated. Oh my goodness.
Just getting it to the end. Here with the bishop joining the last move that it ended up being useful after all on d8. So that was the best move, I would say, but rook c4 is to me more obvious and more like straightforward a bit. So I still think rook c4 can be set as a correct solution.
Good, thanks.
Now after bishop e3, we basically just continue picking up material while keeping the threats alive, and looks like a protected pawn, but it's not, right?
All the minor pieces in the middle there.
Yeah, I feel so bad for them that none of them are protected.
Yes, it's really funky.
And well, white tries the last try to get this perpetual on the queen. How are we gonna get out of it? You know, this is a very common idea in like all these poison pawn variations where the queen takes on b2 and then the rook just keeps
going back and forth.
going back. Yeah.
So how do we get out of this? How about we zigzag our way out? Is that possible? Queen b2, queen a3, queen b4, queen
We can.
a5, queen d8.
We can, we can, but that's a way I would say is a bit passive because our queen was doing such a good job on the second ring. And we don't want to just completely hide away. Plus, the rook on c4 is gonna then be.
We're taking on d4, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Nice.
Rook d4, exactly. So that one requires a bit of like counting of how much material we even have. So rook d4.
Yeah, queen can take. Otherwise, we take on e2, of course. So yeah, swap, swap.
Swap, swap. Yeah, and if what else? Yeah, this one. This is probably the main variation. If this one occurs, then bishop to e3 at the end. And what we have is a bishop and 4 pawns for a rook.
Very funny.
4 pawns sounds like a lot, although maybe we'll lose one right here, but...
we might win one back with rook e5.
Yeah, we're going to... Well, I didn't like rook e5 because this rook here is kind of indirectly protecting this one, so that if knight b7, then bishop here.
That's nice.
And we win this one. So just to keep our pawns alive a bit, the game continued with a couple of more moves where the pawn did get lost eventually, but instead of the pawn, Black got a really huge initiative and made use of the bishop pair. And it ended up being deadly at the end. So
yeah, that's very nice. That's checkmate already.
Yeah, like pretty much. Next move. So that's how the game ended. This one had a lot of complicated tactics, so I'm gonna, like, when the game is gonna be on the website, like, I'll have the variations that we didn't like maybe talk about, because there were so many captures here to think about. That I'll add the rest of them. But those were some tactical practice from some of the memorable games of last year. I know we're a bit late for last year, but
no, it's fine. It's like everything in January is a nice recapture, in my opinion. So yeah, and that was a lot of fun. Well, everybody, we see each other soon enough. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Thank you, Svitlana, and till next time.